Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. I have an amazing guest for you today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Helena. I'm your coach. I am founder of Living With Boldness, and this is a place for warriors. My own coach is here. Like, a coach needs a coach, and everybody should have a coach, right? So a lot of you have been asking me about, who do I coach with? And I thought, what is the best way to explain about coaching is I'm going to invite the person who has been supporting me, and for us to learn a little bit more about what coaching is. So I want to introduce McKenna to all of you, everybody. Hi, McKenna. Where are you located?
Hi there, and hello to everyone who will be listening and watching this session. I am based in Nairobi, I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Sheila McKenna.
Sheila McKenna is the founder, guys, of You Push Factor. You can find her at www.yourpushfactor.com. And she is a life coach, right? She focuses on helping people who are feeling stuck, unhappy, and unmotivated. And she helps them to get clear on their life's vision and goals in order to become their ultimate self. And today we're going to be discussing a lot of things, not only about her practice, but about coaching in general, right? What is it? And I have collected some of your questions. So here we are today with Sheila McKenna, and I normally call her McKenna, sister. Love.
That's fine. Let's keep going with that. That's my favorite
lots
name.
Lots of love. So guys. So let's just start with your most pressing question, which is, what is the difference between a life coach and a therapist, right? Because many of you that come over to Living with Boldness, you want to, of course, work on yourself. You want to be better. The same thing as the people that work with McKenna on You Push Factor and that are following us on social, right? I think what is important for us, and with you, my friend, we were really looking into answering this question, and that is, it is a very important decision. And already now, if you've been thinking about coaching or therapist, whatever that is, we honor you for wanting to invest in yourself, whether that is through coaching or through therapy, but that we honor the fact that you are willing to be a better version of yourself, that you are willing to offer yourself a better life, that you are hungry for more, that you're not settling for less than you know that you could possibly. And it's a powerful decision. So believe me that finding the right person to work with you, it is, and I tell you, having my own coach here, we will talk a little bit more and what are the topics, for example, that I work with McKenna about, right? But when seeking professional help for whether that is your emotional well-being or your personal growth, right? You have many options, and this is beautiful, right? And people say, yeah, I can do it by myself. Yes, you can also do a lot of change, and you can do a lot of work on your own. It turns out that when you work together with somebody else, whether that is a coach or a therapist, you could go also a little bit faster. What do you think about this, McKenna?
Well, yeah, this is absolutely true. A lot of people, we think that we can do things on our own, but there are always certain areas that we're just stuck. We just find ourselves stuck, and we find ourselves with a very fixed mindset about a certain situation. And we get so frustrated with ourselves until you realize that when you make the decision to work with somebody else and they give you a new perspective, then you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I knew this 5 years ago. I've been dealing with this for the past 5 years. I've had one session with this person and they've cleared up this whole path. So you're right when you say that working with somebody can significantly hasten growth than doing something on your own. So yes, I totally agree with that, Helena, totally.
And in that sense, I'm so grateful that I met you. And hey, it took me years to find the right fit. And as a coach myself, I know the importance of finding the right fit for that specific situation or time in your life that you are going through, right? But what it is important is like, there's no default option, right? It's also perfectly okay if you want to go for therapy, or it's perfectly okay if you want to go for coaching. But let's set the difference a little bit. So when we look at therapy, for example, so I am a therapist. I'm an educated and licensed therapist, and I don't practice therapy anymore. So I'm doing mostly coaching right now. But when we look at therapy helps you heal mostly from mental health challenges, right? That is what a therapist does. It will, if you want to, for example, you want to see a therapist if you want to work through depression issues, anxiety, very extreme, for example, personality disorders. You want to see a therapist when you're working with mental health symptoms like trauma or eating disorders. This is mostly when you want to look for a therapist. And if you're looking for a coach, right, maybe you want somebody who will accompany you in your healing so that you're able to do it by yourself. And I think that is a very powerful decision and a very important differentiation, right? Because sometimes I feel like depending also on the kind of coaching or in the kind of therapist, the amount of time that you're going to spend in that process will also be different. And I don't know, Magana, what do you think on the importance of being able, how can I assess myself? Like, what other things, for example, what would be the most common things that you as a coach, when somebody comes to you, will also help that you support that person in identifying if you're really a good match, right, to support them, or if they maybe need a therapist?
Indeed. Usually the first thing that is really important is for the first session to really just understand and try to narrow down the biggest, most pressing issue that a potential client has. That's how I do it anyway. It's really just about getting to know this individual, what it is that is their pain points, what is really, really hurting them. And then two things can happen, right? One can either be that right then you realize I can help this person, or this situation may be beyond me, right? And as a life coach, the difference with you, Helena, is that you've got both hats, right?
Yeah.
You're a life coach and a licensed therapist, right? So you can take off the life coach hat
And put the other one.
and put the therapist hat on, because with you, you're able to assess and diagnose dysfunctions, right? But a life coach like myself, yes, I can do all the I read a lot, and I look at a lot of things that involve psychology, but the most that I can do is say, you're suffering from a certain level of depression that I cannot help you with, for example, right? And then I would say, I think it would be really important for you to seek professional advice, seek professional therapy, so that you can get the right help with the situation, because I don't want to act like I know everything, right? So in terms of understanding an individual, the first thing for me is to really just get to know them and ask them several questions about themselves. I tend to dig deep.
Oh yeah.
So I
I'm
do.
witness of that.
Yes. So you can tell me, I feel lost and I feel confused, and then I ask you, what is causing that? Tell me about how you feel this started, where you feel this started happening, right? Do you recall what the first thoughts when you woke up this morning? What were you thinking? So that I can try and create my own assessment of this person's mental and emotional state, right? And then from there, I have a proper understanding, of where to begin.
Yeah.
Not that I have a proper understanding of them fully, but I have an understanding of where to start, right? So that down the road, if it turns out that this person actually needs therapy, then I can say, okay, this is as far as I can take you. But
Yeah.
if not, then now we can start creating a very customized plan for this individual on um, because how to become an effective human being, because that's what matters
Yes.
at the
Yes,
end of the day.
absolutely. And I feel
Mm.
that it could be even very, very healthy, to have, if you're in need of a therapist, right? Or whether it could also be that you are in need of a psychiatrist, because also let's point the difference between a psychologist and a
Yes.
psychiatrist. So, for example, in this case, the psychiatrist is able to offer you prescriptions to
Yes.
regulate certain mental health issues, right? Can help you with some medication to help you ease your depression or your anxiety, or some maybe PTSD disorder, this kind of situation. And the therapist works much more on a cognitive kind of element, right? We will go a little
Absolutely.
bit more into the differentiation, but it can be also very, very helpful to have a coach, like McKenna is saying. If you want to get unstuck, for example, if you want to find purpose and meaning in your life, if you want to set goals that you are committed to achieving, if you have very clear dreams and you just want to create a mindset and a strategy to pursue them. With McKenna, for example, I met her in that time where my life where I needed somebody who would hold me so accountable, because I really wanted to change and accelerate my practice to the next level, my career, and to be able to become that woman that was going to be able to do all those things, right? Because we have great dreams, but in order to be able to fulfill those dreams, we need to become that person that is going to take those decisions. And that is, for example, when I met you, right? And
Yes.
in order to do all this, of course, you also want to find McKenna or Gia Helena or somebody, a coach that is going to help you stop many times those unhelpful habits or tendencies, or yeah not the most empowering of life decisions or choices, right? And maybe replace them with new healthy alternatives, like self-sabotage, for example. How many of us,
Mm.
feel like so many of us sometimes promise things to ourselves and then we just
Yeah.
don't follow through, or we have some level of fear, like for example, one of the most common ones that I see in my practice, maybe you agree with this, McKenna, or you have also, but are particularly, especially women that experience this syndrome of like imposter, this imposter syndrome,
The imposter syndrome. Mm.
where and that is where you are whole and complete and ready, and then that voice in your head comes and starts telling you you're not good enough. But what if, you're a fake, you're here because you're lucky, all this kind of things. And then you might be feeling confused, and yeah, so these are beautiful and perfect reasons why you want to start working with a coach, right? In my case with you, Makara, that next chapter in my life that needed some radical energy and radical in my case with you. What I love about you as a coach is you didn't sugarcoat it for me, and yet
Mm.
you held and still you hold space for me in a way where I feel very, very safe. But you're not, whenever my self-defense mechanism comes up, you're like not taking any of that BS from me, and then you have a very powerful way to remind me, what is fear, what is me settling for less, what is maybe me not dreaming big enough, and being able to remind me that, okay, that's my self-defense mechanism, which I need to override and remember my own power. And I think that's one of the characteristics, at least in your own practice, girl.
There is something that I want to add there, because I can't take all the credit. The truth is that the wonderful thing about Miss Gia Helena is that she is willing to listen. She's willing to do the work. She doesn't have an ego about these things. You can find a lot of people can be
True.
defensive and hold up this barrier, which makes it very difficult to break down. So when somebody's explaining, uh, the barriers that you have, you take it. There are those who take it personally, and
Yeah.
you have never done that. You've always made the decision to listen, to consider things from a new perspective, and that's what makes coaching you so delightful. You know, uh, it's been a fantastic experience working with you.
It
It
really
really has,
has been, and life
indeed.
changing. And but you're so right. I mean, we need, if we're ready to take that step, investing in ourselves, in our future, we need to be willing to let go of those things that are holding us back, our stories, our past. And for example, that is a very big difference. This setup is a very big difference between a therapist and a coach. Because, for example, a
Yes,
therapist is rooted in the past and present, right? While a
yes,
coach focuses on the present and like on improving the here and now in order for you to become that person in the future. But I think that is also a very important differentiation where we are
that's
living
true.
and where
That's
we're.
that's very, very true. You will probably find a therapist wants to really dig into your past and your childhood traumas, like you've said, and whereas because and to be honest with you, because I'm so fascinated with psychology, I do also sometimes tend to figure some things out there because um, I am big on cognitive behavioral
Yes.
therapy, which I don't know if we're going to get into that much in this particular session because that is now
That's a whole one. This would be a very interesting session also for our coaches and our healers, for all those that are watching and listening us today, that you are doing work with other people, whether that is that you are a professional at that, you're making money out of this by delivering the service, or maybe you're a family person that has somebody that you need to take care of. We will
Mhm.
be supporting you, giving you later on in other episodes more on how can you continue equipping yourself, because it also makes you strong and allows you to serve and support other people from that also space of power, and
Absolutely.
not you letting go of those things.
Yes, indeed. So if as far as I'm concerned, uh, if you really want to uh, commit yourself to being coached, then it will be very important to first of all check your ego, right? Check, check yourself in terms of, like I said, there's so many of us who don't want to be corrected, and who get really defensive.
That's
So
true.
it's wonderful for me personally to work with people who are self-aware, right? And who know what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, because once I understand that, it makes life so much easier, the session so much easier for both of us. It's really important to find cohesion, because the last thing I would want to do is for somebody to pay me and every session is just really difficult, and it drains us both at the end of every session. That's why it's also really important to find, like you said, the right coach,
Absolutely.
somebody you can really gel with and blend with. And it doesn't necessarily mean that always happens, right? There would be
Yes.
times when you bump heads, and that's fine, but it shouldn't be all the time, because now it will turn out that your coach and client relationship will end up being uh, more damage than actual good.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
And I think, like you say, like your feelings are a very important guiding system. I mean, of course, it's very important that you research about the person that you want to go and start working with, and you're going to give them the trust, not only for the process, but the trust of you. Like, do I trust you
Yeah.
with me, with my story? Is not only if that, well, they can have all the credentials, but if there's not a fit, and if the first 1-2 sessions, normally, whether it is a coach or that is a therapist, normally the first sessions, they're for free, because the coach or the therapist also needs to feel if we can support you, right? Because you have all the right for that life that you're wanting, but I need to make sure that I can actually support you in that process. And in that sense, I would really encourage you guys, take your time. Talk to people, research about it, get a feeling for them, because of course, the way also and the style of therapy varies so much, right? Some would be some, we have some lines on the psychoanalysis, which is very, very different from conductism or systemic approach, right? The same thing for coaching, guys. There's so many different kinds of coaches, so the structure matters very, very much. For example, a therapy session is depending on the type of treatment, right? It's very different, the type of treatment. If I will be working with you because you have a tendency to emotionally eat, for example, or if you are suffering from postpartum depression, or maybe you are suffering from anxiety or panic attacks, my approach as a therapist will be very different. The same thing, coaching sessions are structured differently to facilitate progress on your own terms. And this is where, I think the part of coaching gives the coachee much more responsibility and authority in this process, and therefore the duration varies, right? Whereas therapy is not usually time limited, in coaching is often short term, also depending on the type of coach you are. In my case, I'm a systemic and a strategic coach, right? Which means that I am very interested in you having results very fast. Yeah, whatever happened to you in the past is important, but right now you are here with me because you're willing to put in all the hard work that you need in order for you to start seeing results today in your life. And then when you are in a very good place, right, then I will ask you, do you still want to go back?
Right.
And then we can decide to go back, because sometimes the story is very, very important. But again, it's a different style of coaching, right? This style of coaching is not for everybody, because it can be very strong for some people who need to take their time, and they need a different side of a coach, a coach that will hold space for them in a different way. Tell us a little bit about your coaching style, for example, Makeda.
I was listening to you talk just now, and I was thinking to myself, do I have a particular coaching style?
Because you use so many methodologies, and you go also from a lot of, like you say, behavioral sciences and cognitive behavioral change therapy. So I mean, what turns you on the most? What have you seen that also delivers the most impact in your practice?
For me, the ability to really, really listen to what this person is telling me, what they're going through, and being able to pick up certain cues, their language, because you start realizing that there is a certain pattern that this person keeps falling into, right? And then from there, now I'm able to ask, why have you noticed that you keep saying certain things over and over? And then the person says, oh my gosh, absolutely not, I didn't realize this. And then we can start to dig into those. For me, I may not necessarily know about a particular coaching style I have, but I am very, very big on shattering beliefs, core beliefs that are keeping someone in a certain space. So for me, it's important for me to help them be aware of what those beliefs are, where they stem from, and then how we can start to strategically break them down, right?
Yeah.
Because I really think that's what the most important thing is, helping to see someone look at things from this perspective to this one, right?
Correct.
Like just completely flip something over so that you can see things like, just you've been wearing red colored lenses, and then you're just like, oh my gosh,
Yes. You take
I
them
can
off and
I
then you
can I
see a
can
completely
totally
different
see now.
reality. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that is
Exactly.
power. That is power.
It there's a lot of power in that. And really that's what I rely on, because I found that's my superpower, you know.
Oh, girl, yeah. I'm witness of that, and you just catch it, it's like you just catch it in the moment, and you have this very, very impactful and persuasive way to make me, and I'm sure all the other people that you work with, want to make those changes for good. Because yet again, I think that is one of the biggest differences with coaching and therapy, is that a coach teaches you so that I can learn how to replicate this on my own, right? One of the things that
Yes.
I love the most about coaching is, I mean, as much as we will love working with you, we don't want to be working with you your whole life. This is not
No.
therapy, right? We want for you to be able to equip yourself so that you're able to replicate this over and over. We don't want to become a crutch to you, right? So after a period of coaching sessions, normally, a coach will work in sessions of 10 sessions, for example, over a certain period of time. And we are expecting, for sure, that you are going to have results already in that period of time. And then yet again,
Absolutely.
I don't want you coming back to my practice for the same reason, because if you're not able to replicate this, what you already did with me for 10 sessions, right, then there's something off. The idea is for
Absolutely.
us to be able, as coaches, to support you in whatever thing is that you want to be working on, so that you're able to replicate and have the resilience to be able to do it again later on your own. That is the real power.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I like working with metaphors a lot. And think of life coaching like walking into a hardware store, right? And you have a problem at home that you need to fix. There's maybe there's some walls that you need to repaint, and you walk into a hardware store, and they give you the resources you need to go back and paint that wall, right? As opposed to therapy. Therapy is like, walking into a spa, or a place where you get a massage, and you have to keep going there, right? To constantly be pampered. Oh, okay. Let me not use the word pampered, because that's not what a therapist does. But it's kind of like they have to, work the kinks out
Yeah.
for you. And then when you break down again, you go back to them. Whereas with a hardware store, you get the tools you need, you go and you do the work, and you're happy with the outcome, right? So it's kind of like that. I don't know if sometimes my metaphors can be a bit weird, but to me, that's how I see therapy, to be very honest with you. That's how I see it. So
I like it a lot. I do find it to be like that. One thing is like somebody is doing it for you, and the other one is teaching you how to do it. And
exactly.
both are very necessary. Both are very necessary depending on the reason that you need the support with. At some point, to be
Absolutely.
quite honest, also, I mean, for those of you who know my story, I needed to be in therapy at a very young age for all the situations that happened to me, because I didn't have the competence or the skill to be able to do it by myself. And I'm very grateful for the people that really helped me back then, because without that, I don't think I would be here with you, because I was not in a place where I could manage those things myself. So I did not need a coach at that stage. What I needed was exactly the kind of support. In that case was I was working with hypnosis I had no idea about what that was at that time, you know, and I find
Right.
somebody who was able to support me with that particular skill to deliver the results that
Indeed.
eventually they helped me achieve, but I would not have been able to do that on my own. And when we look at coaching, is yes, I mean, there's so many more things, and for the right person at the right time, coaching is fantastic. So for example, here would be
Yes.
a very good difference between, you know, what personal and business coaching could also be, right? We already saw
True.
that when it comes to personal coaching, it's about all like being stuck and wanting more, and having structure and ideas and having a strategy and how to, you know, get out of your own way. There are also coaches, like there are religious coaches, there are career coaches, right? If you want to continue empowering your professional career, there are health, wellness, coaches that support you not only with your body, but, you know, feeding your body, nurturing yourself. Their life coaching, as we have also here today with McKenna. They're neuro-linguistic coaches, they're relationship coaches, they're wealth coaches, you know, that teach us about,
Yeah.
you know, a relationship with others or with money, of course, right? They're business coaching. There's so many types and other kind of coaches that, you know, they just keep popping up, and there's so much beauty and diversity. Guys, please seek a life coach or any kind of coach that take your time to find the right person, whether that is that you find the right credentials, but it's more important is that you share that person's philosophy, and you need to feel inspired on that person's philosophy of working with you. So take your time. There's no rush. And whenever you find the right person, man, you're going to start seeing results fast. So think about in this
Instantly.
search. Yeah, think about this search as like slowing down to speed up, right? This is what you want. You don't want also, because I have heard that a lot about some of my coaches, that they're like, they might go to some sort of whether that is sometimes a therapist or a coach, and they're just looking at you and they say nothing, right? So that doesn't mean that we're going to give you all the answers, no, but I do think that there's much more than just sitting down and you paying me just to listen to you. Of course, there's much more that needs to happen also from your end. Also, a big differentiation from therapy and coaching is, guys, as a coach, we will normally give you homeworks, and we're expecting you to do them. We are expecting you to continue doing the work in between the sessions, because that's really where the big milestones actually happen, where we are able to support you in acquiring these new habits or different skills to be able to make your changes and those results sustainable. What are some of the barriers? You were talking about barriers, McKenna. What barriers are the ones that you experience the most that might hinder somebody who is searching for professional help to get the results that they want?
I think the biggest barrier is a lack of self-awareness, or very little self-awareness, where you can feel really, really justified in the place you're in. And you feel like sometimes people want to turn a coach or a therapist into a supporter of their problem,
Yes.
right?
Oh, that is so true.
Or just to make them feel better. But the idea of life coaching is for you to take responsibility for where you are right now, and to be equipped with the tools you need to get to the next phase of your life, whatever that is that you may choose to be. And now, the biggest barrier, mental and emotional barrier, is when you don't want to take any accountability of, or even acknowledge where you are. You find yourself wanting to blame other people. Anybody who says it's everybody else's fault, but fails to see the part that they play in where their life is right now,
Correct.
that can be a huge, huge wall. So that's why self-awareness is really important.
Can I
Just
learn
under,
self-awareness in coaching, do you think?
I'm sorry?
Do you think I can learn self-awareness in coaching?
Oh, I think anybody can learn self-awareness. It starts with willingness. I mean, I didn't get to where always being self-aware. I started really my my life
How
has
did it start? How did you decide to become a life coach in that sense?
um to be very honest with you, it's something that fell on my lap because everybody tends to be drawn to me because, like I said, my superpower is listening. And I found a lot of people don't have the opportunity to really pour their hearts out,
Oh, that's so
right?
true.
To someone who is genuinely interested in what's going on in their lives, right? And that happened to me a lot, especially at parties when I hadn't seen people in a long time. I always found myself being dragged into a corner. So you know, usually I don't really enjoy myself in parties, you know, because I always have somebody that I'm listening to, something that they're going through. So I decided, you know what, whatever the situation is, wherever I am, I am going to use this opportunity to help this person out, even if it's just listening, right? And I realized I realized this when I made the decision to do my own changing, right? When I was in my 20s, uh, I, I was a mess. I had terrible relationships with everybody. I don't even think I had much of any kind of relationship with anyone. I probably didn't know what a relationship was, right? Because I was always so angry and I always wanted to lash out. It was everybody else's fault but mine.
Oh, yes.
And yes, the pain that I was going through and the things that I was feeling were justified. I just did not have the right tools at the time to uh, to really have or to understand them as I wanted to be understood, right? So as I got older, I started realizing, first of all, this isn't going anywhere. I am really just hitting my head on the wall, hurting myself, and my relationships with these people are getting worse and worse and worse. My parents, my sister, my siblings, my cousins, the people who are closest to me couldn't talk to me anymore because it's like they had to handle me with kid gloves. You know, I was, and they had to walk around eggshells or on eggshells when it came to me. And then I started realizing this is actually all coming from me. I need to find a way to stop feeling attacked all the time.
And start blaming
Because
others, right? Because like you say,
it,
sometimes we go into that story. That
yes,
everybody's fault and not mine. So I'm not taking any responsibility.
any
I'm not
responsibility.
self-reflected about who I
Indeed,
am.
indeed. So uh, it's very interesting because there was a book that was here that my dad had. My dad is like a ferocious reader, and he has like a whole bunch of books. And he had a book called You Can Heal Your Life by
Oh, yes.
Louise L. Hay.
Hey, yes.
It's a fantastic book. That really introduced me to being compassionate and kind to myself,
And
right?
for so many, this is a concept that is like, what are you talking about? What do you mean to be
Absolutely.
kind to myself? Wow.
Yes, yes. And I read that book and I felt like I was mothering the child in me
Yeah.
and nurturing her and telling her it's okay and I'm sorry for the things that you've gone through. I'm sorry that you've been misunderstood for so long. It's like I had to take care of me first and be nicer to myself and stop all this, not really stop, but really manage all this negative self-talk that was really damaging.
You were coaching
But
yourself.
yes, I had to, yeah, I had to coach myself because, the thing is I couldn't afford therapy at the time. So I had to figure out how to, learn how to take care of myself and understand myself, understand how I work, how I think, how I react, so that I can have better relationships with other people. And when I started working on myself, everything changed.
Mm.
When I worked on the inside, the outside changed. My relationships with my parents, my mother always tells me, I still can't believe it's you. Really
That's a beautiful
cannot.
compliment. Mm.
Yeah, it's a fantastic compliment. So doing the work, the inner work, it is scary, it is daunting, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
It can be really tiring and frustrating, but trust me, on the other side is a version of you that you will not even believe exists.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Especially I can imagine back then how scary they must have been, because sometimes the only options you had was therapy. And also like back then, for me and my 20s, and I'm a little bit older than you, I think.
I don't think,
This
but anyway.
let's not go there. Anyway, but if you
That's
went
fine.
to therapist, then you must be crazy. You're broken. There must be something wrong with you. And
Oh,
I can't imagine. And it was scary for me. I was messed up enough that I didn't really care at a point. But this is something that also culturally in many countries is still an issue, right? To be able to
yeah.
access the support. And now it's not only about therapy, but now you have great coaches like yourself, supporting people out there with lots of different things. So after you started like in this line, what happened, Makana? What is like after working with so many people, because I know especially in Nairobi you are a very sought after coach, and I have the privilege of working with you. But what is the biggest challenge, for example, that you helped one of your clients go through? Or maybe you can start by telling us what specific areas do you focus on as a life coach?
Um, to be very honest with you, I don't really necessarily focus on specific areas. What I do look at is the way somebody is looking at a situation, right? So even if you come to me and you tell me about a relationship, like for example, the last person that I worked with, he was having problems with his family,
Yeah.
right? And it was really, really weighing him down because his family means everything to him. But he was not receiving the same understanding of, his situation, right? The things that he wanted to do, where he wanted to take his life. It seemed that his family just didn't get it, and they just seemed closed off to him, like almost like in African society, the expectation is always that a child is a return on your investment. So
Wow.
when a child gets old and becomes an adult, the child is supposed to be paying back for being raised, they're being taken care of. Parents have got all these expectations. It's not necessarily that way with all parents in Africa, but it's a general expectation that
Right.
the way your life turns out should be in a way that I look at as a parent and I'm proud of, you know.
Wow, that's a lot of
And
responsibility. That alone that alone will take you to therapy and coaching.
it's a combination of both, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he
that's
was dealing
hard.
with a lot of guilt.
Can
And
imagine.
and yeah, so I had to basically help him understand that your own plans and the things that you want for your life are valid, and that sometimes you have to put your family to the side because our parents had the opportunity to live their lives. Nobody was there to tell them what to do and not do.
Yeah.
Right? And now that you've been raised to be an adult, it is now your time to figure yourself out. And if it means not connecting with them as much as you used to because they are bringing you down so much, then don't. Take your time and figure out whatever the next stage of your life, what it is you want to do without the guilt of feeling like you have all these responsibilities that you have to take care of, especially because they're physically fine. It's not like any of them were in any kind of, they didn't have any physical ailments or anything like that. It's just that you have family obligations that you have to take care of. So
Yeah.
that was pretty challenging because of the deep guilt that he was feeling. So it was kind of helping him reprogram himself, break down these core beliefs that he had of having like his family on his shoulders and
For
having to
sure.
take care of everybody. Understanding that if one day, if he got to a point where he broke down, who would take care of him?
Yeah, it's like he has no right or
yes
to be able to break. So you have to be, and then there goes topics, so powerful topics like vulnerability, right? Like being able to also be authentic or to ask for help because he's not even allowed to, that nobody sees him sweat. The same thing happens, like for many women in our generation and even in previous generations where, there's so much of what we are saying where we need to be serving others. We need to be all the time fulfilling other people's expectations. We need to, be the perfect wife, the perfect girlfriend, the perfect mom, the perfect friend, the perfect cook, the perfect lover, the perfect entrepreneur. You're supposed to be the perfect everything, and you need to make it all look easy. I cannot tell you how many beautiful, powerful warrior females have gone through my practice where that is one of the, like the same for your coachee that you just described, has been one of the most powerful aha moments where it's like, is life on my own terms and there's no other way around it. So, and I feel like it's a failure recipe. When you are living on other people's expectations, you're doomed to fail and burn one way or the other sooner or later. And
absolutely.
And I feel like that is one of the biggest highlights for your coaching style. And then therefore, what is the biggest challenge you helped one of your clients go through so far?
It's basically what I was telling you about this particular gentleman that I worked with last, and basically helping him overcome his level of guilt.
Choose himself.
Yes, because this is decades and decades of guilt, that have just manifested themselves in different ways. And you just believe that you're obligated to the people who took care of you and who raised you so much to a point where you feel like your life comes second or third to theirs. And at the end of the day, I had to ask him, who is going to take care of you
Wow.
Yeah, really, because you need you first. You need you first. You need to take care of yourself, because one day all of these things, somewhere along the line, something has got to give, and someone is going to suffer, and it's either going to be you or them. You're going to end up becoming so resentful and taking it out on them.
Yes.
Right? And we don't want that. So we need to find a level playing ground here, where if you feel that you still want to take on certain responsibilities with your family, go right ahead. But at the same time, they need to understand that you are your own individual, right? So helping him slowly break that down and understand that, it took time, but eventually he got it. He got it, and he understood how important it was. And he actually moved out. He moved out of the country.
Sometimes this is what is necessary, to break free
Yeah,
from our past, from our
because
limiting beliefs, or from all this momentum that history has, right?
absolutely, he left the country because it's something that he wanted to do anyway.
Anyway.
you know, this is a man in his 30s, and is doing quite well in life. So, you know, I told him, go right ahead. What's stopping you? Nobody's keeping you here other than you. And these obligations that you feel, your family will be fine. They don't need you. You know, you need you first.
Hmm.
You know,
What can I expect from you during and after coaching sessions? Now that you're describing, for example, a powerful case just like this. So for people who maybe have not heard about coaching and they are flirting with the idea of starting this, how does coaching with you look like after or during a session?
Got it. Well, the most important thing is if you decide to if we decide to take each other on as a coach and a client, because this is not a situation where I hold all the power and you are there to revere me and I am your teacher. That's not how it is. It's collaborative, right? So if we decide to take on this partnership, the first thing I'll do is I will send you a questionnaire. Really, for my purpose is to understand what your biggest issues are, what you're going through, right? How you're thinking and how you're feeling about where you are. And once I get it and I understand what it is that you're going through, then we can start on those pain points. So I go right for the jugular,
Yeah.
right? The idea is to strike at whatever that issue is and start breaking it down as soon as possible so you can find immediate relief. The idea is for you to look at things from the first session, at the very least, to try and look at your situation from a new perspective. Because once you do that, something starts to shift in your mind. That, you know what, this may not be as bad as I thought it was. You know, this may not be this gloom and doom, because, you know, we've a lot of the times people like to catastrophize. Catastrophizing is when people make it a hobby to look at the very worst of situations all the time. There's
uh,
no middle ground. You know, if you're given $100,000 and you find it in the bank, in your bank account, you're not even going to think of it from anything positive. How did this money come in? Somebody must have, you know, how am I even going to account for this, you know? Whereas somebody else can be like, ooh, $100,000, wow. You know, maybe it could be from that time this person owed me money, you know, a year ago, and it was that amount of money, and it's so, you know what I mean. So
yeah.
people tend, there are many of us who tend to look at the absolute worst of situations. So when you are given a new perspective, at least from the first session, it gives you hope. There's at least some light that comes into this dark cave in our minds sometimes, where we just believe that things are always going to be a certain way. And my goal is to clear that path, right? And then at the end of every session, depending on what it is that we do or don't do, I offer something actionable, right? An actionable thing for you to go and do for the course of the week or even the course of the month, depending on the frequency of our session, so that for the next session we can talk about what you've learned thus far, and then we can also talk about maybe new thoughts you're having, new perspectives that you have, or a new barrier that came up that we can break down. So yes, uh, so it really is a process of just breaking down barriers, breaking down uh, old beliefs, clearing the path so that you
Yes.
can start to see the road in front of you a lot clearer. And then from there, I want to come to a point where you say goodbye to me, right?
Yeah.
You say, you know what? I think I've gotten everything that I could possibly need from you. Thank you so much, because I don't want anybody depending on me either, like you said. I
Correct.
don't want any crutches, anyone to see me as a crutch. also, because I would be doing you a disservice. It means that you're never
being able
the
to do it
idea.
on our own. Yeah.
Yeah, because think of me as Red Bull. I want to give you wings so that you can fly, right?
Yeah, you do that really, really well. I can honestly, I
Thank-
mean, I think that one of the of everything that you're describing, I can relate to, because of course I've seen in your practice and the way that you have been coaching me, and I tend to go back to you, and then every time I start like a new project or there's something new going on in my life where I want to continue like topping myself up, and it's so exhilarating, all the benefits that I get from coaching with you, not only the safety of you holding space for me, but like you mentioned, is that different perspective, particularly when I tend to be quite critical about the reality that I'm
Mm,
living, or very hard on myself, and when my mindset sometimes is not this growth mindset that I want to be able to practice. And sometimes I narrow it down, and it's becomes like these times have been like so hard for so many people right now, and it would be natural that many of us have like a scarcity mindset. And I think that's one of the things that you support the most, is how do we make a lifestyle out of this new mindset so that it's like sustainable, that I can catch myself, not only that you can catch it for me, right, when we're in our sessions, but later I am able to catch it, to tap into those situations where I am not exercising the authority and the power that I have committed to tapping on when I said yes to coaching with you. So yeah, like absolutely. And coaching is so important, and I can only thank you for being my coach, because it's so incredible how it's an ever, I think anyway, being students, it's an endless lifetime situation, a
of
lifetime
learning.
commitment of, is it becoming the next better, best version of yourself, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And it's so beautiful to have that life witness, and that is what I find in you as a coach, and now also as a friend, where we're able to it's like that friend where you don't have to tell them the whole story and put them up to
True.
date, because that person is the witness and has been following you and accompanying you.
Mm,
Sometimes lets you
mm,
fall, because that's what we need. Sometimes we need to let you fall. Sometimes we need to
absolutely.
test, for you, because I can tell you you're great, but if you don't feel it, if you don't see it, if you don't own it, if you do not see that person emerging, right, we cannot do that for you, right? So
That's
I
true.
find that coaching is such a powerful thing, and I can only thank you for the beautiful work that you've done in my life, and that you keep doing and continue bringing me to the next level. So really, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Helena. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you so much for, like I said, being so open to wanting to learn. And again, it attests so much to you as an individual, and every barrier that you have broken to get to where you are. You are incredibly strong and resilient, and kind, and compassionate. And it's only through that, and your level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness is so high that it helps you accelerate quickly in your own evolution, right? So I am not only thankful that you trusted me, but thank you also for teaching me how to really check my own ego. Because when we're having these conversations, when we're having these sessions, and I may be giving you information, right, but you are always so attentive and you listen, and you really truly want to understand what is going on within yourself, and how to heal yourself, and how to take better care of yourself, emotionally anyway, because I mean, look at you, you're gorgeous. So obviously that part is taken care of. But
Sometimes you should have seen me 3 hours ago, but yes.
no. By the way, Helena is never ever out of place ever. She always looks amazing. Always,
It's
But
part of the self-care routine.
amen. Amen to the self-care routine. But uh, that hunger that you have to evolve is what is going to continue to take you higher and higher. So it's really been such a privilege to work with you also.
Oh, thank you. I really
I'm
thank you.
thankful.
And also, I feel like because it's the chain of favors, it's the chain of service. So many people I have been able to serve and benefit from my own work because, guys, you do not, hopefully, you do not have all the time to make all the mistakes. You
No.
can learn from my mistakes. You can learn from research. You can learn from science. You don't need to suffer it. Suffering is
You really
optional.
do.
And pain is a natural thing in life, but suffering is a decision. And there's so much power that comes from us being able to replicate. It's the same thing. If you're going to go, if you want to become an amazing athlete, right? Then you're going to get yourself a coach, because I mean, everybody runs. I run somehow. It doesn't look like running, but I run, But if I wanted to become an extreme, a professional runner, I'm going to get myself a coach that's going to teach me the skills that I need in order to be able to get there. You want to be the best salesperson in your company, you're going to need a coach. You're going to want to, you want to hang out with the people that are able to do this, that have
Yes.
been there, that have the experience. And experience is not only the know-how, by the way. When we're talking about experience, you're searching for somebody who has already failed themselves, that are not just going to give you theory. Experience is that thing that we all have that allows us to forecast failure because we've suffered it, because we've been there, right? So at the same time, you want to find yourself a therapist or a professional, a coach that you can relate to. There's nothing relatable about perfection. There's nothing relatable about a brand that is just too polished and too clean. That's not human. Right. It's not real. We want authenticity. You want real. You want to learn from also people that had the experience, not only that have the theory, right? So in that sense, there are many things that will support your personal journey, and coaching is just one of them. For example, McKenna, she has a push factor, and you can, by the way, in a minute, McKenna, you have to tell us how people can find you, because I mean, I delight in the doses of knowledge, of encouragement that you post out there, right? It's like sometimes I hear some of your stuff online that I stumble upon, and I'm like, man, I needed to hear that like right now, and it was like given by the universe, like downloaded right now at that moment for me. And sometimes maybe people are not ready to commit to coaching. Maybe you guys are not also financially ready. Also, these are very, very hard times, but that doesn't mean that you cannot start working on yourself right now, today. McKenna, tell us a little bit about the lots of services that you are offering the world and people who want to be a better version of themselves.
Yes, so I have a website called yourpushfactor.com. And basically, it offers blog posts, videos, podcasts, and a lot of other resources to really help anybody who is in a space where they're looking to be clear on their goals, when you're feeling stuck and you're feeling lost. And I also offer online courses within the website as well. So there really is a variety of things to really help you grow on a personal level, because that's really what I deal with, personal and self-growth. So those are the most important things that I deal with. So I have all of these resources. You can actually go to yourpushfactor.com, and immediately you will find an opportunity to to subscribe to my mailing list. And within that mailing list, I will send you a free gift, a self-affirmations audio CD. Actually, not a CD, sorry. just an audio that you can immediately download and start listening to. It's a 6-7 minutes, really calming self-affirmations audio, because self-affirmations is what I started with to get me here.
So powerful.
So it's still very, very important for me, and I thought, why not share that? So if you go to yourpushfactor.com, that's the first thing that you're going to find, and just subscribe, and then from there we can communicate, and I can send you the information and all of the resources that I provide, both free and paid. Mostly free though, in terms of just resources that I want to share and help people. So that's the best place to reach me. I'm also very active on Facebook. Facebook.com/pushfactor, right? So that's where you can also find me. Those are the two spaces that I'm very, very active on.
Oh, that is wonderful. And also on Instagram, guys. And hey, just reach out, do something, start whatever you do, whatever is going to, once you start getting hungry, because I feel like coaching can also do that for you, can awaken in you that hunger for more, that knowing that there is more, that whatever you are living is not the end, is not law. Right? So I want to thank you also, if you have listened all the way till this point in this conversation. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the time that you're investing in wanting to be part of this boldness community of people who believe in accelerating their lives to the next level by choosing courage over fear, by learning more about coaching, whether that is you're going to learn how to be your own best self-coach, which is very, very necessary and a very important leadership skill as leaders that we are out there in this amazing universe for us to play and co-create together. Thank you for joining, and I will see you next time. Thank you, Makana, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.